like this, and then each half would be packaged on its own, and each of the halves would have a new best before date put on it.
How long could those sit out for?
They actually had stickers on them for about 2 more weeks.
And then what would happen?
After a couple of weeks, if it still hadn't sold, we would actually replace that sticker with the new one. So that's 2 additional weeks on top of the 2 weeks, on top of the weeks that it spent in the display case.
She worked at a Your Independent grocery store in Ontario before it was bought by Loblaws. She says tampering with bakery items at her store, common practice.
With the fruit tarts in the display case, we would take them and we would scrape off the fruit as it got older or less desirable looking or moldy.
Moldy, so you'd scrape off that?
Yes, and then we would just retop it with new fruit and we would reglaze it and then we would put it back in the display case until this fruit wasn't looking very good anymore.
The boss said that was okay?
The boss didn't just say it was okay, this is what we were instructed to do.
And it wasn't just fruit tarts. Our insider says she scraped off fruit and retopped some cakes, too. Sounds gross, but could it be dangerous? We buy some cakes and fruit tarts for lab testing.
I brought you some food products to take a look at.
But to our surprise, when we open the box...
Let's check out this cake. It's a fruit tort.
Wow, look at that.
Holy cow, this has not passed its best before date and there's already mold on it.
It's furry already. This isn't good, is it?
Wow, can't believe how much mold is on here.
Yes.
Has this cake been doctored? The store said it's not past the best before date. We ask Warner to help us simulate what our insider tells us about what happens to cakes and tarts 2 weeks past their best before dates. On day 1 of our test, that moldy cake, surprisingly, still safe to eat. But nearly 2 weeks later...
So these are yeast and molds, and you might see these orange ones here. They look pretty, don't they?
Yeah. If you ingest that toxin, what can happen?
Well, nothing will happen to you instantly, but what over time, it can lead to things like cancer. So this is why we have these best before buy dates, really, to stop these sort of things happening.
Yikes. And he says the longer these toxins stay on foods past their best before dates, more potential growth and risk. And there's more?
This comes in the form of what we call an enterobacteriase, which is a fecal indicator.
A fecal indicator on the tort?
On the tort. There's a lot of handling when you produce these torts. They can introduce a certain degree of coliforms and other bacteria.
You found a lot lurking on the surface of that tort.
It was like a sea of microbes underneath the fruit. It really was. And the number of bacteria amazed me as a microbiologist that even it was like there's a lot of handling when you produce these torts. They can introduce a certain degree of coliforms and other bacteria.
You found a lot lurking on the surface of that tort.
It was like a sea of microbes underneath the fruit. It really was. And the number of bacteria amazed me as a microbiologist that even these microbes could grow so high in a cake.
Pretty disturbing. Almost 2 weeks past their best before date, the fruit tarts are loaded with toxins too.
This is Aspergillus. It's a mold that produces a mycotoxin, which can be fairly fatal over the long period of time.
Our insider says she didn't know there could be potential risks, but why'd she do it?
When you're working there, it's part of your job and you're told to do it, and you're not really at a place in your life where you can take a stand or say anything about it.
So, what's her advice for you?
I would personally avoid buying any cake or pie or bakery product that isn't in its original form. If it's been cut in half or cut into smaller pieces, there's probably a reason for it.
Loblaws won't come on camera, but after learning about our findings, they tell us they've reinforced their bakery policies with all their stores.